actively choose to put yourself first and give to yourself, and everything else that you want will come. Because when you're a better version of you, when you are the most authentic, energized, empathic, optimistic version of you, the people that are meant for you will come. The deals will come, the money will come, the relationships will come. Whatever you want will come to you.
Amos Medra.
Shamama Mir, GP, certified high performing life coach, and all sorts. What do you not do? I mean, there's so many things that you do. I don't know how you fit it all in, but we're going to stick with the coaching for now. A warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for such a warm welcome and introduction.
No problem. So tell us a little bit about yourself. We know you're a coach. We know you're a GP as well. How did you manage to marry the two?
So that is a very interesting story, and one which is also quite inspiring. So actually what happened was I was in a very challenging relationship, and I made the decision to leave my ex-husband, and I was actually sat in the same chair where I'm sat now, and I closed the door behind me, and I just said to myself, I can't do this anymore. I literally cannot do this anymore. And, you know, it was during the pandemic. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. I was working as a GP and still am working as a GP in the NHS. And it was incredibly difficult to navigate all of that. And I believe in God. I am a woman of faith. And I think what actually happened was God going, you know what? I've really, really tested you to your limits, to your core, but here you go. And actually what happened was I made the decision, and literally 5 to 10 minutes later, I got a phone call. And I'm the kind of person that will never pick up phone calls if I don't know where they're from. Commonly, I will be like, you know, if it's important, they'll leave a message and I'll get back to them. But something that I have trusted upon immensely throughout my medical career, throughout my life, has been my gut instinct and my intuition. And I have really leaned into that, definitely when it came to a doctor, you know, from the medical side of things, where my gut has said, you know, something's not right here. And it's led me to, you know, send someone into hospital, and they have had a diagnosis which was terminal. And so I've really relied upon my intuition throughout my journey, both in life and work. And when that phone rang, my gut was like, pick it up, pick that damn phone up, because if you don't, you're going to live to regret it. And it was so loud. And I just, you know, I went, hello. And they're like, hi, is this so-and-so? And I was like, yes, it is. Who's speaking? And they said, we're from Growth. And I said, growth as in Brendan Burchard's team growth, as in high performance coaching growth, because I've been in personal development since I was 12, 13. I've been reading books to enhance and develop myself as a person, because it's a real passion of mine. It's something that I just love doing. And it always has intrigued me and continues to intrigue me, how you can have two people in the same situation and you will have completely different outcomes of how they've led their life. And so I've really been into psychology and, you know, and the behavior aspect of it and all of that. And so I knew who Brendan was. And when they rang me and they said, and I was like, you're not Growth. Like, why are you calling me? Like, you're not Growth, you're someone else. Because, you know, if people don't know, Brendan is one of the biggest coaches in the world, and he's trained and worked with people like Oprah, for example. And so, as you can imagine, I'm sat here in my living room on my chair, and I get this phone call out of the blue. And they said, no, we are Growth. We've just emailed you. And I was just like, okay, let me check my email. And I checked my email and it was them. And then I was like, give me your number and I'm going to call you back, because I still didn't believe them. So then after phone and email clarification, I said, okay, you are Growth. Why are you calling me? And they said, we're giving away free coaching. However, we have an interview and it's 2 hours. So I'm obviously really emotional, upset, highly charged at that moment in time. And immediately I was like, of course, like, are you kidding me? Like, what? Like, is that even a question? Like, of course I'm going to do this. Like, bring it on. And so in tears, highly emotional, speaking about the fact that, look, I need to leave. I have a 2-year-old. We're in the pandemic. I'm working as a GP. I need to navigate this. And they asked me some questions and they offered me free coaching on the spot. And that decision transformed my entire life. And that led me, it had such a transformative impact on me that it led me to want to do that for others. And I wanted to go on.
Yeah. Did you feel instinctively that you'd stepped into your purpose?
Yes, absolutely. Because the other thing that happened was that during this journey, there were so many things that happened that were divinely led. For example, my transformational coaching, I'm a woman of reflection. So I was reflecting around it. And then I just went on Insta and it just came up, transformational coaching, da, 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 da. And again, my gut was like, do it now. And then I was like, okay, let me take a step back. Let me meditate for a couple of minutes. And then let me see if this feeling gets stronger. And it did. And there and then I got I got a card and I was just like, right, done. And that was literally a month, maybe 3.5 weeks after the decision of me leaving my ex-husband. And I started my transformational coaching diploma. And then I obviously wanted to become the high performance coach because that's the experience that I had had, and it had transformed my life to the point that I had people coming up to me, like my mum came up to me 4 weeks in and she said, Sham, whatever you're doing, it's working. And if you need anything, then let me know. And that from her was like phenomenal. I just literally had only 4 coaching sessions at that point. And for her to say that to me, to say, what are you doing? Because whatever you're doing, it's working. And I'm here for you, was just, indescribable, to say the least. And so that's how I then certified as a high performance coach. And then I launched my business in kind of June last year. And that's how I became a coach.
And you've never looked back.
And I've never looked back. Not once.
Incredible. And, I think, just to have, your mum just to notice immediately that change in you, I'm sure she could see you were happier. There was more life to you. You were purpose driven. And those closest to us are the first to usually spot those signs and the differences. And she could clearly see that you had a spring in your step and you knew that this was it. I've found who I am. And as you said, you've never looked back. It's just been onwards and upwards. It's that growth mindset. It is who you are. It's who you've always been, and it's just like you coming back home to your true self. Incredible.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Because as I'm sure, you can relate to as well, when you step into your purpose, when you know that there's something bigger than you out there that is meant for you, you do things that are, that to you at the time seem like, how is this even possible? Like for me, I'm talking to you now and I'm doing a podcast, but you wouldn't know that, less than 12 months ago, I did not want to be seen. I had a fear of being seen. And prior to becoming a coach, I had very minimal social media presence. It was my purpose of wanting to empower and uplift women to become the best version of themselves and truly own their power without getting burnt out. That's what has led me to where I am today.
Talk to us a bit more about that, because I think that's really interesting. First of all, not being you don't want to be seen. I've spoken to a lot of women who are in that sort of position where, mother, wife,
Mhm,
full-time work, and they're doing
mhm,
all these other things. They haven't got time for
mhm,
themselves.
mhm,
Burnout is constant. They just operate
mhm,
in that area.
mhm.
How do we help them, and how do they help themselves pull away from that? And first of all, recognize that they're in that situation.
I think that it's a challenge, and it's a challenge for anyone. And I can speak from my own experience. That was me. I have been burnt out. I was burnt out as a GP when I was training, and so that is something that I'm really passionate about. And again, when I went through the process of divorce, that was also immensely challenging given the circumstances surrounding that. And I think the biggest thing that helped me in that process was really getting clear on what I wanted from my life. And I remember in probably the first coaching session I ever had, my coach posed that question, who do you want to be 12 months from now? Where do you see yourself? What is that vision for you? And and in that moment in time, I'm like, I'm completely out of it. I don't know how I'm going to navigate it. I've got a 2-year-old, I'm working, I have disabled siblings, I have elderly parents, it's the pandemic. There's so many things going on. But actually just getting from that confusion, just getting completely clear on what it is that is important to me, and what do I want from my life? What kind of a person do I want to become in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months, or even next week, you know. So getting clear about where you see yourself. So for me at that moment in time, I was very clear by the end of that conversation that, I want to have my power back. I want me back again, because I had lost myself in that relationship. I had completely self-sacrificed, which had resulted in me losing myself completely. And so I had to go through that process of finding out who I am and gaining my power back. And I remember saying to my coach, I don't want to think about him all the time. I don't, because I'm living in the same house, I'm going to the same places. How do I change that story? And again, I remember having the insight or of that coaching conversation of, maybe look at things in a different way. So you're in the same place, but focus on something new. Like, maybe you've got a rainbow outside on the window that you've not seen before. Change the focus. And it sounds really complex when I say it, but actually when you do it, you take yourself out of that situation. You give yourself that space that you need to figure out what actually you want. And
Yeah,
it takes you out of that so-called survival mode, which is what a lot of us are on, especially women, especially mothers, because when it comes to parenting, our self-care, us being able to prioritize ourselves is challenged.
yeah,
So in answer to your question, I would say, firstly, take a step back. Take a step back and really give yourself the love that you're so easily giving to everyone else around you but yourself. Because you deserve that too. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to give that to yourself in order to be able to give that to your child, to your husband, to your partner, to your friends, to your parents, or to whoever that needs it. You have to give to yourself first. And that is paramount. And as you start doing that, you will start feeling better. You will, because we all know this. When we start looking after ourselves better, our sleep gets better, our diet gets better, we start exercising, we do all the basics well. And if you've got the basics honed, everything else will be a walk in the park because you've got that structure that you're sitting on.
Yeah.
And, and Brendan says this really well. He says, common things are easy, but they're not common practice.
Absolutely. What's really interesting is when we reflect back on just the last couple of weeks, we're just coming out of the holiday period. We've had a Christmas break. Everybody's had time to relax, focusing on themselves a bit more. Work's taking the back seat, and family members are around to support us. So I think we've got more time for ourselves. We tend to reflect a bit more as we step into the new year as well. But then very quickly, within the first week of the new year, you're back into autopilot. And by the end of the first week, you feel absolutely burnt out and you're thinking, how have I been operating for the past year? And now suddenly I feel exhausted in just that 1 week. And you realize that's it, back onto the hamster wheel.
Because you're not, yes, I completely agree. And that's probably the story for the majority of us. The change in those who are functioning at a high level, which means that they're functioning at their optimal capacity, is that they are very clear about their priorities. And they put themselves first. And that was the hardest thing for me as well through the coaching process. And again, I remember vividly, a situation where I was dealing with my 2-year-old and I had a coaching conversation with my coach. And I was talking around the fact that, Samira is really weak. Samira, my daughter, was really needy and, it's not like her and she wants more of my time. And that led to the conversation of, okay, Sham, why do you think she wants you more? You've said that it's not like her. So why do you think this is happening? And I sat down and I was just kind of going, okay, why is this happening? And then I said, because she wants me. Okay, so she wants you. Well, why aren't you giving her that then? And I was like, because I'm not giving that to myself. And that was huge because I then realized, and that's what she said to me. She said, until you learn to put yourself first and make your own needs a priority, nothing is going to change. And that was a massive aha for me. Because I was just like, wow, that's it. I'm giving to everyone else but myself. That can't be right.
Yeah. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Yeah. And it goes back to that analogy I like to use, which is put the mask on your face first, even before your own child. And then you can help them. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be here to take care of anybody else.
Exactly.
And we're coming full circle because this is holistic, isn't it? It's not just the mind, it's the mind, body, and soul. So you are looking after yourself physically. As you said, you get more sleep, more rest, so that you can give more. You've got more energy. And it's just a big win all round.
Absolutely. The only thing I would add to that is it's also really important to look after our own emotional well-being. And from that perspective, things like, meditation or meditative moments are really helpful. And the other big aha, which I remember was probably very early on in my own coaching experience, was a morning routine. And that morning routine gave me the self-care that I needed for myself. But I have, people I have, I can hear the clients going, oh, but I'm so busy. I can't take out, 20 minutes of, I can't take out 20 minutes for exercise and 10 minutes for meditation, and then you want me to drink 2 liters of water every day. Don't. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to take time out, which is in alignment with your own schedule that works for you, and do what's right for you. Because what's right for me is right for me. It doesn't have to be right for you. Everyone's different. Every single one of us has different needs. You know, one person may want to meditate first thing in the morning. The other person may be like, well, you know what? I need to exercise before I can meditate. Or, you know what? I'm not really good with meditating, you know, when I'm sitting down. So, but when I clean, it takes me out of the zone and puts me into flow. That for me is meditation. So it's paramount to do what is right for you and fits in with you. And there is no prescription as regards to you've got to do this long, you've got to do it for this long and this long and this long. What I would say, however, going back to the scenario of what in the question that was asked, is that when we are really busy, taking out half an hour may seem like a tedious task or may seem like a lot. Start with 5 minutes. Don't overthink it. Start with 5 minutes. Every single one of us can 5 minutes somewhere. If the tea's brewing, you can do some squats.
Yeah. One push-up.
One push-up. It all starts with one. It starts with one.
Yeah.
And you build on that.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is so good. So important. So basic, as you said, but we don't apply it. It's just incredible to think the simplicity of it. It's so cathartic as well, but we just don't do these things. We know them, but we don't do them. We don't do them. You know, this has been such a good talk. I could talk to you forever. What would you, I want you to leave us with something that we can take. What would you advise for us as we, you know, plan and prepare for this year? We want to change. We want to make an impact. We want to step forward. We want to step into our purpose. What would you leave us with here today?
What I would leave you with here today is choose yourself first. What I mean by that is actively choose to put yourself first and give to yourself. And everything else that you want will come. Because when you're a better version of you, when you are the most authentic, energized, empathic, optimistic version of you, the people that are meant for you will come. The deals will come, the money will come, the relationships will come. Whatever you want will come to you. And all you've got to do is look after the vessel that God, universe, higher power has gifted you with. And that is your mind, body, and soul.
Incredible. Dr. Shamar Mamir, wow, this has been so good. I think we'll have to be doing a part 2 and 3 and 4 of this. It's been incredible. So much to take from this. You know, I think sometimes you can listen to something and you thought, oh, that was brilliant. But then when you listen back again, there's something else that you pick up that you didn't pick up the first time. And I will certainly be listening to this over and over again. And I'm sure the audience will. Before we let you go, how can we connect with you? What is your social media handle? How can the audience reach you?
Well, thank you for having me. I've loved being on, and I sincerely hope that it helps so many people out there. And I am active on most social media platforms. I am most active on my Instagram, which is at Dr. Shamsi. I'm also on TikTok at Dr. Shamsi3 and on LinkedIn as Dr. Shamar Mamir. So feel free to drop me a message or contact me in whatever way is suitable for you. And I look forward to hearing from you.
Fantastic. Sham, Dr. Shamama Mir, thank you so much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.